I'm kicking it off. Excuse me. Here. Traffic control, 10,000 cycles. Get out of here. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Yep. All right. Good evening and welcome to the City of Montgomery City Council meeting. Appreciate you being here this evening. It is 6 o'clock and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Before we get started, I'd also like to make sure that everyone has their phones on silent or vibrate so that we are not interrupted during our meeting. Appreciate it. This is the regular meeting for January 14th, 2025. We will begin with an invocation by Councilman Donaldson and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for a new year, Father. We speak blessings over the city of Montgomery for 2025. We thank you, Father, that we're going to move judiciously, Father, to help this city grow in a comfortable manner, Father. We thank you, Lord, that you bless the works of our hands. And we thank you, Father, that you're always on the throne and always available for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance to the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Ms. Bevan, I'd like to note that we have a quorum full board. Thank you. All right. So this is where we have our public forum, and we have two people that have signed up to speak. I'd also like to make an announcement real quickly that we have some visitors here. Elizabeth Woods, who's the Executive Director and Director of Philanthropic Endeavors for the Montgomery County Veterans Memorial, is here, and we should be expecting her to do a presentation for us here soon and an upcoming agenda. But thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate it. Yes. Also, we have MLK Day is on Monday. We always have our annual MLK celebration at the Lone Star Community Center on Lone Star Parkway. That begins at 11 o'clock, and our very own Chief Solomon will be the Speaker of Honor this year, so that's fantastic. My car tires may be flat for announcing that. Okay, with that, we have two speaker request forms. The first form that I received is from Ms. Deborah Golka. If you would please stand at the podium, say your name and your address. You're here to speak about traffic flow on Lone Star Bend. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Deborah Golka. I live on Villa Lane in Montgomery County. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here on behalf of the residents of Villa of Mia-Lago to request a three-way stop at the intersection of Lone Star Bend and Bodark. As the community grows the traffic at this intersection and is creating a safety issue, and we have the same concerns with Lone Star Parkway and Lone Star Bend. The residents also believe that possibly one street light on Bodark at that intersection and speed bumps on Lone Star Bend may help reduce the excessive speeding and racing at night on these roads. I have reached out to the county commissioners. I reached out to Precinct 3 and Precinct 1.
Okay. Did you get a response from Commissioner Walker? Yeah, because this is his precinct. And did he acknowledge or say he could help? We just looked at the map, and the one stop sign that's there is definitely in our city limits. I think we may be able to do a second. We'll have to look. But he certainly would be the other person that we would need to get engaged to get one headed west on Bodark, since that's his jurisdiction. Okay. But I'm agreeing. I think we're most likely all of us in agreement with you. Yes, and then Lone Star Parkway is owned by the county, so again, it would be him to help mitigate that intersection, because I've been a victim and part of that as well. It's not good. So certainly we can help be a conduit and help you get with his office and see what kind of solutions they can come up with, and be standing next to you as well and
All right.
supporting you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. Okay. Next up is Mr. Bradley Scheitz.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bradley Scheitz. I live over by 34 Hillsborough Drive East, which is Bentwater. I'm an American Polish public advocate in Montgomery. I hold strong to the values of unity and freedom for both America and Poland and all of our NATO allies. And for my Polish friends, I say Amerika I Polska jedność I wolność na zawsze, which means America and Poland, unity and freedom forever. Now today I'm reaching out about the dangerous intersection on Lone Star Parkway and Highway 105 near Simmons Bank. This area poses serious safety concerns due to poor development and a significant pothole that worsens the situation. Drivers turning onto Lone Star Parkway must often stop farther back in the turn lane to avoid obstructing other cars attempting to turn. This creates confusion and increases the risk of accidents. I kindly request that this intersection be reviewed and repaired promptly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm going to break protocol here for a second. I've got some questions under the public forum, and my questions are for WGA, so I don't know which one of you would like to stand and represent WGA. All right, Catherine Vu?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so in 2024, are you aware of how much we spent with WGA?
Off the top of my head, I could not tell you that number, but it is a number that I have reviewed in the last couple of weeks. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
all right. Okay, it's come to my attention that WGA is now employing Nikki Nicole Brow, a previous employee here at the city. Is this correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In what capacity does she work for you?
She's a project coordinator.
Okay. Will she be working on any of our projects, anything with our city business, developer business, or anything regarding Montgomery, Texas at all?
Yes, ma'am. She does work in some capacities on the City of Montgomery. She also works for our other clients, so it is not exclusively City of Montgomery business. But yes, we have had her help out with a couple of city-related items.
Okay. I want to be clear that, and emphasize that this person, I hope, is not going to be involved in our city business moving forward. Based on the reckless record keeping and lack of professionalism and still ongoing negative rhetoric about the city of Montgomery and myself and this council. And as a taxpayer and elected official in this city, it is my wish that we are all protected as taxpayers, and everything that you do has information, sometimes proprietary information regarding our city, and someone that has nefarious ways or speaks such negatively about our city, I would like to ask that she doesn't have anything to do with our city. I wouldn't want us to be compromised in any way due to her reckless record keeping and behavior.
Yes, ma'am. I can make that adjustment.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. With that, we'll go on to the consent agenda. Number 4 on your agenda, consideration of possible action on the special joint public meeting minutes of December 9th, 2024. Number 5, consideration of possible action to amend resolution number R 2024-20 to strike out a whereas section from the document. Number 6, consideration of possible action on a resolution of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Montgomery County, Texas, appointing board members to the Montgomery Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors. Number 7, consideration of possible action on a resolution of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Montgomery County, Texas, appointing members to the Montgomery Planning and Zoning Commission. Number 8, consideration of possible action regarding the adoption of the election services agreement by and between the City of Montgomery and Montgomery County elections for May 3rd, 2025, city general election and to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement. Number 9, consideration of possible action regarding the adoption of the joint election agreement with the Montgomery County elections for May 3rd, 2025, city general election, and to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement. Item number 10, consideration of possible action on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, providing for the ordering of a general election to be held on May 3rd, 2025, for the purpose of electing 3 city council members, place 1, 3, and 5, approving election service agreement with Montgomery County, Texas, and providing details relating to the holding of such election. Council, we can take these cumulatively or individually. What is your pleasure?
I would like to pull number 5 and have it separate, please.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay.
Make a motion to accept consent agenda 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Second?
It's been moved by Casey, seconded by Stan, that we accept consent agenda items 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It is open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting consent agenda items 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the consent agenda with all items but item number 5. Item number 5 on your consent agenda, consideration of possible action to amend resolution number R-2024-20 to strike out whereas section from the document.
And I personally do not have a problem with the resolution itself, other than the second whereas says Assistant City Administrator, and we do not have that title anymore. So if we could get that taken out, then I'm good.
We took that out yesterday. Yes, been taken out.
So then, okay. Then I won't sign I won't sign the resolution tonight. I'll come back tomorrow with that modification. Okay. Okay. So then do we need to vote to accept it or with that modification? Okay. All right. I'm open to a motion.
I make the motion to accept and the amended resolution and take out the Assistant City Administrator.
I second.
Moved by Carol, second by Casey, that we approve item number 5 with the amended resolution to take out the title Assistant City Administrator. This motion is debatable, amendable, and requires majority vote. It is open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 5 as presented with the amendment to the resolution of taking out the title Assistant City Administrator, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the amended resolution to take out the title of Assistant City Administrator. All right, item number 11, under your regular agenda. Items 11, presentation and discussion regarding enhancing water safety in our community with an emphasis on pool and spa inspections. Mr. Hanna, our building official.
So when I took the position of building official, I had the chief sign off a letter that I wasn't responsible for anything that's happened beforehand.
Smart.
So I feel like I just want to make that a record.
How did
He
you
didn't
do
want to be
that?
grandfathered.
In the past, the city has not, our prior administrators have not really concentrated on some of the requirements of the code, specifically swimming pools. I pulled a report, we've had 65 pools built in the last 6 years, and I think only a handful comply with all the requirements. The big concern that I have is that, and as I've noted in some of the information there, a lot of drownings occur throughout the year, or children get into a pool area unseen and they have a drowning incident. So we've got a lot of pools that have been built that have not passed all their inspections. what I proposed council to do is that we may adopt a national program for May, that's Pool Safety or Water Safety Month, along with, I also want to present about Building Safety Month, and we'll get to that later, to try to help our ISO ratings. So if we can just get a go-ahead from council that this is something we want to pursue, I would like to try to educate the community on the needs to have their pools protected from outside sources so that we don't have any incidents in Montgomery. So all I'm asking for is to go ahead to pursue getting these different proclamations set up so that we can look at adopting them in April and try to make May a month that we really emphasize trying to get everybody into compliance with their pools.
I'm good.
I like it.
So what exactly are your proclamations going to entail? What are we talking about? Going into people's backyards and telling them their stuff's wrong, they gotta fix it?
No, sir. What I would propose that we do, the proclamations are kind of a national sort of thing, just emphasizing safety issues and so forth. But because we have a lot of folks that are not in compliance, what we'd like to do is in the next few months, try to send them a letter and say, hey, you didn't pass inspections, here are the reasons you didn't. We'd like for you to try to come into compliance. Don't want to be heavy-handed with anybody, but see if we can't voluntarily get folks to try to come into compliance. If it gets to the point, and that's a question for legal counsel, somebody that's had a pool for 2 or 3 years that didn't pass their inspections, you know, what do we do with it? That's a problem we'll bring back to council later on. But what I'd like to try to do is try to get the folks in voluntary compliance first.
Good.
Alan, now that we know that some have not had their final inspection, if something were to happen, are we liable?
I wouldn't say that we are liable, but we should try to encourage people to come into compliance. You know, I just heard about this situation last month as well, and I don't know exactly the facts of,
Sure.
you know, why people weren't getting some inspections, but you do need to try to correct that issue.
Certainly. I just want to make sure that if between now and the correction, if something were to happen, because we have the knowledge that we aren't and somehow held responsible.
So,
Because we didn't do the final inspection on the front end anyway.
How do you determine what type of records have been kept to determine which have final inspections? Do y'all have all that backup?
Yes, ma'am. Through our system, in many cases, folks just stop asking for inspections, and that's another thing we're going to try to now correct is hopefully our permit tech can now kind of keep an eye on things and know that when somebody's getting close to the end of their permit that we can notify them and say, hey, you haven't gotten all your inspections, or are you finished with your project, and we'll come out and inspect. So the key thing is to try to keep it all within the time frame of their permit. What I propose to do going forward, anybody that requests to have a pool built, we're going to try to educate them on the front end that it's necessary to have all these pool barrier requirements as part of their application process so that they know going into it that they have to comply. But now it's kind of an education process going back. So yeah, we know which pools or which addresses haven't completed the projects. Just looking back in the last 2 dozen, there have only been 4 that were in total compliance. 6 are still active permits that can be brought up.
What would happen about an existing pool that the ownership changed?
Yeah, that's the problem with letting these things sit around for a while, and that's what I'd like to do is try to voluntarily try to bring them into compliance. We'll see what we can do with that, and then come back to council after our big push through May and see what we want to do about it then.
Like maybe make them aware and give them a year long to get compliant, and maybe like at a 6-month point, say, hey, you're 6 months into your year.
Here's another thing.
Get it on your mind, and then 9 months, and then at the year point,
If
where
it's
are we?
someone who has bought a house that had an existing pool, to make them aware that there are issues possible.
Correct, yeah. And that's probably already on his permit page.
so
That's what I learned from my mentor, John Fox, to try to
Thank you.
Talk to your husband about that.
be sure to
Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. We appreciate it.
do it again.
So basically, you're saying we've got the proper ordinances in place, we just haven't been administering them properly.
Yeah, the previous administrations haven't really enforced. It's been basically the contractor, the homeowner would call and request their inspections, and if we didn't get a call, we didn't go out. So kind of word, I think, got around that, hey, if you don't call in for an inspection, you don't fail. You know, it's different with a home because they have to have a certificate of occupancy in many cases for their insurance or mortgage purposes whenever they finish the house to be able to move in. But when you add on something like a pool, you know, that nobody really has. So it's just something that hadn't been really closely monitored. To visit with the permit tech and with Tilly about, you know, trying to monitor this stuff more closely, so hopefully we can avoid it in the future.
The typical,
Yeah, 'cause we had a, you know, we had a citizen come in here probably a year ago, and he was complaining about his lighting for his pool, that it was dangerous. And, you know, he was kind of in a bad place. There wasn't much that I knew that the city could do for him, but I think this is a good program to try to eliminate some of the stress that people go through when things don't work out right.
But that's the point that I try to make with homeowners, that inspections seem like they're cumbersome, but in reality, we're trying to help them make sure that they're safe, sound, and sanitary.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do is if we do the proper inspections at the correct stages, we can, you know, stop some of the problems that may come up later on. But we just kind of missed some of those opportunities, so we're trying to make it right now.
the final inspection is part of the protocol, but it's up to the city too to also manage when that permit is about to expire and ask the homeowner where they are in the process. And then we have to manage that, right? And chase it, and we have not been doing so. But now, based on what Rick is saying, I think we'll have eyes on it and that protocol in place in that workflow.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
So
hear more
what we're
about it.
asking for at this point is approval to move ahead with trying to do the May Safety Month and get the proclamations done.
All right, I like it.
Move forward.
I think that's great, right before the summertime.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, item number 12 on your agenda. Consideration and possible action regarding an escrow agreement by and between the City of Montgomery, Texas, and KHR Properties, development number 2414, and authorizing the city engineer to prepare a feasibility study for proposed 0.76 acre Jack in the Box.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. This is the second time that this has come before you. So just a reminder, this is your the standard beginning of the development process as it comes to council at this point. So you're entering into an escrow agreement to allow the developer to deposit funds to fund a utility and economic feasibility study that we perform, again, with the developer's funds. These are the same feasibility studies that we've presented to you many times before. And as a reminder, taking action on this tonight does not necessarily approve or give the green light to the development to continue to go forward. It simply allows us to do a feasibility study, which we will bring to you at your first February meeting, should this get authorized this evening.
My understanding, Catherine, is that the feasibility study is just to provide us information on how we can serve the property, right? Give them water, sewer, or whatever.
That's correct. So part of the feasibility study, we look at how, exactly like you said, how is the city going to provide water and sewer service to the property? What kind of drainage situations do we need to consider? If there needs to be a pond, where would the drainage go? If there needs to be annexation, what would the tax increase to the city be? What would the tax benefit be? If there are any impact fees, what would those be? And then should the developer choose to go forward with the development, what are the next steps? Is it a development agreement that the city and the developer then begin to enter into negotiations? What would be the expected fees for that? Are there any utility extensions or work that needs to be done on the utility side? And what is the expected cost for that? Simply outlines all of that for the city's benefit so you can see, and as well it benefits the developer so that they can see what would be their anticipated costs should they choose to move forward.
And after the feasibility study, we had the discussion about variances.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Yeah.
So as part, and again, in that study, we do outline what would the variances need to be that they need to request.
Right. We can
And so after the study is completed, then the variance requests come in either individually or previously they had been done under a development agreement if an agreement was appropriate for that specific property.
And was that the time too that they would present the easement agreements as well?
Yes,
I think this property
after
would
the
probably have
study is
to have some of
completed, any easements that need to be dedicated
Okay.
come at that time.
Or easement agreements, I mean, we would be able to see where the building is gonna sit on the property?
And if it has to go through an adjacent property's easement, property, well, there's got to be an agreement between both property owners. What does that look like? And let's ensure that that's in place.
Does it also include anything for tech stop for driveways, et cetera?
We outline in there, there's a transportation section of the study that we outline where do they need to get their driveway permits from, what roads are they tying into, and who owns those roads, and outlining what studies would need to be done ahead of time. Would they need to do a traffic impact analysis, an intersection analysis, things like that. And if there are any road improvements for city roads that would need to be done for that development, we outline those at that time as well.
I want to make sure they take into consideration the fact that 149, according to TxDOT, is going to be a 4-lane, and so we're going to have an additional lane. I don't know what they're going to do with the turn lane we put in, but still, I don't want to have any problems with us being able to put a 4-lane intersection right there and have issues with jack-in-the-boxes traffic, because that's my main concern about it. I don't see how we can get around the traffic issue
So
in that small lot.
considering your 4-lane, right?
Yep.
TxDOT has an easement that they'll use that Jack in the Box can't build in, right? So the only way that there would be a conflict is if TxDOT needed more land, and they would have to purchase that from Jack in the Box, from the people that own Jack in the Box, right? So there's an easement next to 149 that belongs to TxDOT. They'll absorb that when they put in their 4-lane.
Well, I thought for them to even get the turn lane.
Well, that turn lane's probably gonna disappear and be your second lane.
They what now?
It'll probably disappear and be your second lane.
Okay. Yes.
But, motion, make a motion to accept the item as presented.
Motion by Casey,
I'll second.
second by Carol, to accept item number 12 as presented. This motion is debatable. Amendable requires a majority vote. Is there further discussion? All those in favor of accepting item number 12 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay.
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 It is a tie. Not a tiebreaker.
So before you guys vote, Alan, what happens when we say no to a feasibility study?
Well, you're, I haven't had that happen.
We're sitting in front.
We're going to table this again.
I mean, right?
So my understanding is as long as they follow the ordinances, we can't legally stop them. So by us not passing a feasibility study, we could
Casey, are you trying to tell me
basically-
that I can't vote no?
You can.
Thank
I'm
you.
just saying that by the choices that we make, it puts the city in liability. So you can vote however you want, but understand choices have consequences.
There may be potential liability associated.
Thank you.
You can break the tie.
Well, I certainly don't want to be, I've heard the feedback from the residents, and it's, no one's in favor of this. I personally am not. However, I don't want to put the city at liable to be sued by not accepting the feasibility study. So I really and truly, it's quite the conundrum. Because I want to be, we are sitting up here because we are the voice of the people. And for a number of reasons, the people do not want to see this development in Montgomery at that corner. Anywhere else, but not that corner. So for that reason, I would like to say no. However, Alan, I don't want to be sued over saying no, and I need to be certain that we do not get in that predicament.
I'll change my vote to avoid a suit.
Because that's the thing, is that as the feasibility study is not agreeing to
not-
any agreements,
I know.
right? So we're not agreeing to
Binding.
anything.
I understand that. I just don't want to.
Right.
You can't predict that, but But I will reiterate the fact that agreeing to the feasibility, you're not agreeing to the project necessarily.
True.
Even when the feasibility study is presented, typically the motion is to accept the feasibility study. To be clear, that motion, by accepting the feasibility study, you're not necessarily accepting the development, you're simply accepting the report as presented to you as a statement of information, not necessarily agreeing to the development itself. That's still not what that step is for. That comes at a later time.
That's fine. Let's go ahead with it.
So are you changing your vote?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go ahead and start this again. Can we kill that vote and start over? All those in favor of item number 12 as presented, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 12 as presented. Item number 13 on your agenda.
It's a duplicate.
It's
Okay,
Sorry.
can we pull that?
Yeah, item number 14 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action on acceptance of the Buffalo Springs roadway improvements project.
All right, so what is in front of you is acceptance of the roadway, which has been open since September. If you remember back to your September council meeting, this project was deemed substantially complete as the road was opened and allowed for traffic to drive on it. All we've been waiting on since then is for some final vegetation to be established, waiting for the grass to grow, essentially. And now that vegetation has been sufficiently established, we are ready to close out this project and for the city to accept the roadway and enter. We are continuing with the one-year warranty period. So this is simply accepting the infrastructure. One thing that I know, the question that has come up in the past was how did we end up on cost of this project? And the final construction cost was $610,730.75, which, as a reminder, we did have a negative change order during the project, so there will be a refund issued to Home Depot when the final true-up is completed for both this project and the Signal project because of that reduction change order during the project.
So are all monies paid and except for this change order refund? Are we up to date financially?
From Home Depot to the city, I will defer to
Yeah.
Mary Ann
Mary
for that.
No.
Mayor and Council, on this particular item, you may recall that Home Depot set up a escrow fund that was held with First American Title. And there is a process for getting that money released from First American Title. That process was not done prior to me being more oversight on this item with escrows. I have reached out to First American Title. I have reached out to Home Depot. On 3 occasions to First American Title, 2 occasions to Home Depot, and we are still awaiting a response from them. The last time I reached out was on Friday, where my contact is their senior counsel, but we have not received any funds from that Home Depot escrow.
But it's at that place?
The money is, I have confirmation that the first round of funding was put on deposit at First American Title.
Okay.
I know that there was a request for the confirmation on the second round of funding. I don't have the confirmation on that second round of funding. I don't know if that's something that you all had.
If my memory is serving me correctly, we did not authorize the contractor to proceed until we had confirmation that the funds had been deposited. We didn't want to, we wanted to avoid putting anybody at risk, so we would not have started the project unless those funds were deposited.
Do you have confirmation of that? So I understand you saying that you would not have allowed them to move forward, but do you have confirmation that the second round is there?
I would have received it in an email.
Yeah.
I have not gone back and looked through my emails to find that exact one, so what exact day I could not say. If I could have a chance to look through it, I can certainly send it to you after the meeting when I find that confirmation.
Why would Mary Ann not been advised?
I was not always included on that information.
Previous administration.
So do we need to get Alan involved to call American Title and figure out what's going on?
It's possible. I had this conversation with Catherine on Friday, letting her know that I have reached out. I'm allowing them, I was going to allow them a couple of days based on my follow-up message from last week. So I expect tomorrow or Thursday to actually, I'm planning to make a phone call to see if I can reach this individual. And if I can't, then that's going to be my next step.
Can we withhold the refund until we get this done?
Well, the refund isn't us, it's from the,
Well, from the
it's-
escrow?
no, it's from the contractor, the
Oh,
negative. But the question is, does Home Depot have to release the funds?
Correct.
All right, so the call really needs to go to Home Depot.
Right. So when the money first went into escrow with First American Title, we had asked them what the process was for getting these funds released. And they said that basically we send them the pay app, we send them the proof of payment, and they'll release the funds. So when I did that, the response from First American Title is, has Home Depot signed off on this? And I said, I am not sure, because I am taking this over and I don't know if there has been a process, if this information has been sent to them or not. I then initiated that first contact with Home Depot, copying First American Title, and got nothing. And then I sent the follow-up message asking for, any guidance, information. We want to know what the process is, what we need to do. And that's where we're sitting right now.
So it's with Home Depot. We need to get a hold of Home Depot.
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I followed up last week, figured that by Wednesday or Thursday of this week. So,
And you said your contact with Home Depot is their lead counsel?
yeah, it's like their senior legal counsel.
At Home
He was the
Depot
one that
or
drafted
at
up
Home
the
Depot.
Home Depot.
Yes, with Home Depot.
Catherine, you'll find your email for the confirmation and send it to Mary Ann?
Yes, I will find that confirmation email that I have. I'll send it to Mary Ann, and I can forward it to y'all.
That would be great, just for us to feel easy.
Absolutely.
So Alan, how long should we give this lead counsel before you need to call them?
At the most, through the end of this week, I wouldn't wait any longer than that.
You good with that, Mary Ann?
Then,
So we've paid the contractors? Have they got their money?
Yes, the contractor has been paid.
Through us?
Yes.
Okay.
So the city entered into the contract with Scythe, which was the contractor. So between the city and the contractor, you're square on payments. There is one final pay estimate to be issued after acceptance, which was essentially releasing retainage, and that was the only item on this final pay estimate. So between the city and Scythe, you are clear on your contract. This would close it out with the contractor itself. The contractor was not affiliated with Home Depot in any way.
Right.
right.
Just waiting to be refunded or paid from the escrow account for the amount that we paid for the contract.
Right.
That is correct.
So then, do we want to accept it without payment, or how do you want to handle this?
I want to table it.
Well, this is about the project, this isn't about the payment.
This isn't about the payment.
This is about, is the roadway completed?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Our contract was with the road people.
Right.
Site
Not-
construction.
Correct. So
Yeah.
what accepting
We need
the
to take care of them.
Yes, accepting the roadway tonight allows the contractor to close it out on their books. You do have a maintenance bond that we received from the contractor should any issues come up with the road during the warranty period. But again, that warranty period started back in September when it was deemed substantially complete and opened up.
Make a motion, we approve item 14 as presented.
I second.
Motion by Stan, second by Casey, that we accept item number 14 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It is open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 14 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 14 as presented. Thank you. Item number 15 on your agenda, consideration of possible action on approval of the final plat for Hills of Town Creek, Section 5, development number 2206.
Good evening. So this is the approval for the final plat for Hills of Town Creek, Section 5. This went to Planning and Zoning back in December. We were waiting on them to get their final documents and financial guarantee in, which is why you did not see it at your December meeting. Our memo is included with a couple of reminders on what is included in this plat. So on December 14th of 2021, the developer was granted a variance to allow the side yard setbacks to be 5 feet with no conditions, and a minimum lot size of 50-foot lot width, 100-foot lot depth, and a lot area of 5,500 square feet at a minimum. So they met those requirements in the plat. This is the same as what was in the preliminary plat. And again, went to Planning and Zoning Commission in December. As far as impact fees, this development specifically in the agreement did not outline that impact fees would be paid at the time of platting, so this will follow your standard impact fee procedure. So they are assessed at the time of platting, and their impact fee rate is locked in when that final plat is recorded, and then they are due at the time of connection as each home comes onto the system. This will be a total ultimately of $148,409 for water impact fees and $142,423 for wastewater impact fees.
So that's a total of $290,830. Is this the development, is this part of the development that we pay those impact fees back, that $380, so that we really are not receiving those dollars, we're holding it until the end of the year?
So this is part of that development, but the balance remaining on paying out the agreement is less than $290,000. It's, I don't have the final number right in front of me. I'm sure Mary Ann could.
It's less than 25,000.
Okay, good.
So this would be used to pay that back, and then the remainder goes into the city's impact
Okay,
fee.
so then we will see some goodness here. Awesome, great. That's what I like to hear. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Make a motion, we accept item 15 on the agenda as presented.
I second.
Motion by Stan, second by Casey, that we accept item number 15 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 15 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We will accept item 15 as presented. Item number 16, consideration of possible action on authorizing the city engineer to begin work on the College Street Drainage Improvement Project.
All right, so I understand that y'all talked about this project last night at your CIP workshop. I apologize that I was not able to be in attendance. But as y'all discussed last night, this project is for the repairs of the culverts along College Street, essentially just up the street from Carol's house. And what we are currently proposing, which is subject to change as we get further into design, we're currently proposing to replace the 3 18-inch concrete culverts with 3 18-inch concrete culverts. What has happened over time is the culverts have separated underneath the road, which has caused potholing and causing the road to deteriorate. I was informed this evening that there are potentially some capacity issues with the size of the culverts. As we get into design, that's a very normal part of the design process to evaluate, do we need to go to a larger pipe size, or what would need to be done to try to mitigate that and improve it as well. So that would be considered as part of the design process. What we're also looking into here is regrading the culverts along College Street and then installing, there is one driveway along College Street that does not currently have a culvert, installing a culvert at that property as well to allow drainage to continue to flow in the roadside ditches.
I have a question about the line items of the descriptions and the quantity and the unit price. On here, item number 9, is traffic control complete in place for $10,000. It's a road, I think there's only 3 houses past where this happens. I was curious as to what traffic control for $10,000 looks like and signage for $10,000.
So with this being a narrow road, so a couple things. This is still in the estimate phase. As we get further into design, we can narrow exactly what that is. What we have in mind at this point for traffic control and signage, with it being a very narrow road, there really is not a way to do it one lane at a time. There's really not multiple lanes on this road in the first place. So this includes the contractor's cost to rent signs, to put them up, any barricades, signage, detour if there needs to be a flagger, or steel plates to put atop the road after they leave at the end of the day so that traffic can continue to flow through. Understanding that we want to try to minimize the impact on, even though it may be few homes, we still want to minimize impact to those who live on the other side of the bridge, as we understand that's their only access in and out. So we do have 10,000 for each in here. Because of that situation, we don't want to block anybody out from being able to access their homes.
So it's not a highly traveled road, and so I just didn't know if that was excessive or what, so that's
Well,
what I
there's
was.
another item there for signage, so.
Well, yeah, that's why, the traffic control and signage underneath it, yep, for 10 and 10. And I just thought that was a large number for where this was, so.
It may
but
be
it's
it may be
estimates.
slightly on the high side. I do not believe it to be largely on the high side. I would rather slightly overestimate and then the actual cost come back a little bit lower for the city's budgeting standpoint. And then as a reminder, this would be funded from the ARPA funds for the construction of it.
Very good. I make a motion to approve item 16 as presented.
Motion by Casey,
Second.
second by Stan, to approve item number 16 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 16 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 16 as presented. Item number 17 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action on authorizing the city engineer to begin work on the water plant number 3 booster pump addition project.
Similar to the previous one, y'all discussed this last night at your workshop. So this is to add a 4th booster pump out at water plant number 3. We've been talking about this project for a while. It does provide an additional 150,000 gallons, approximately 160,000 gallons a day in booster pump capacity. So it'll provide a good buffer as water plant 4 is being designed and ultimately entering into construction. It'll give you a buffer on your capacity. This was previously designed with your water plant 3 improvements project, which added that second cooling tower and gave you the new ground storage tank out at water plant 3. It was ultimately removed from that project at the time due to budget constraints. And so we're bringing this back to you. It's still a necessary project that we recommend for capacity purposes and redundancy out at the plant, and would be funded by the ARPA funds as well.
I make a motion we accept item 17 as presented.
I second.
Motion by Stan, second by Casey to accept item number 17 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All those in favor of accepting item number 17 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept 17 as presented. Number 18 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action to call for a public hearing regarding a proposed annexation proceeding to enlarge and extend the city boundary limits. So, Ms. Tilly. Maybe you move that microphone. We need to get you a step stool, honey.
Lower this a little bit. This will be to call for a public hearing regarding the proposed annexation that's coming in for Tri-Point Homes and the extension of 32.24 acres into the city limits, into the corporate city limits. On the next page, you'll see that area there that would be annexed in. This is between Lone Star Parkway and Eva Street, and it's that roadway westway, next to Napa.
Oh, Napa,
This
okay.
This is just
I know the
to call
project.
for the public hearing. That'll be on February 11th at 6.
I make a motion to call for a public hearing for February 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the City Council Chambers of City Hall at 101 Old Plantersville Road, Montgomery, Texas.
I second it.
So moved by Casey and seconded by Cheryl that we have a public call for a public hearing for February 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the City Council Chamber of City Hall, 101 Old Plantersville Road, Montgomery, Texas. All those in favor of item number 18, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will have a hearing on February 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at City Council City Chambers at City Hall, 101 Old Plantersville Road. Number 19, consideration and possible action regarding approving expenses for repairs to McWashington Road.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have the quote in front of you. This is on the, what we consider the home entrance to the stadium. We noticed some pretty good erosion going on under the road. Had a company come out and look at it, give us a quote. This is the same company that's done a couple of rounds of the street lifting for us in Hills of Town Creek where the roads have settled. We've had to go in and drill and inject, so we know it's a good product. We know it works. They don't have to do too much lifting on this. It's more stabilization to keep it from settling anymore.
Mike, I thought this McWashington was the road right here that we renamed.
That is L.A. Washington.
L.A. Washington,
Yeah.
okay.
The other
I was
one was
wondering
named-
where this was, and I'm like, where is this?
Yeah, the other one was named after Mr. Timothy McWashington.
McWashington, okay. I knew there was a Washington.
So
All right.
ultimately, they injected soil stabilizing chemicals, is that what they did?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a polymer injection, kind of like the way I describe it is it's kind of like a great stuff. It swells up, they have it down to a science on how much they need to put in to get the lift they need. Like I said, there's not a lot of lift required on this. It's filling in voids and cracks to keep it from cracking. Once it starts breaking, then we have to rip it out.
So, yeah, so they use a poly, or not a poly, but it's similar to a poly. But did they do any soil stabilization injections? So there's a chemical that you can inject into the soil that basically keeps it from absorbing more water or losing water. The water just passes through. They use it in foundation stabilization all the time, and I was just wondering.
Are you asking if they used it originally?
You know, if they used it when they fixed it. Used a poly to lift the road and fill the gaps, but there's a chemical that you can use to stabilize your soil so it won't erode.
So I'm not 100% on an actual chemical that they use, but what they do does stabilize the soil.
Okay.
I'm just not 100% on the chemical. I can find out.
Okay.
But yeah, they have done good work for us so far. I think they've done 3 different rounds out there in Hills of Town Creek. We've had good results.
Gotcha.
So, I'd like to get this handled before we start losing roadway out there.
I have a question for anybody. You, in particular, Mike, if you want, what's a buy-board cooperative purchasing agreement?
Well, a cooperative purchasing agreement is something that you can enter into to meet the legal requirements on the competitive bidding process. So whenever you go through a cooperative purchasing agreement, you don't have to get multiple bids on something because that is already done on the front end. So we actually have a couple of different agreements. We're under one with Omnia that covers all of our Home Depot and Amazon purchases. That's why we can buy something from there without going out and getting multiple quotes on everything. So and this is a very specialized method of work that they're doing. Getting multiple quotes sometimes is really hard. So having the cooperative purchasing agreement, having this under that really helps with not having to get multiple bids on it.
For companies that are on by board, it's for state, local government, and education, they have to be vetted and qualified and all of that to even be a partnership.
And it's a guaranteed price through them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Anyone else?
I make a motion to approve the expenses as presented in the amount of $26,500 to Uratech USA Incorporated.
Motion by Casey, second by Carol to approve the ordinance, approve item number 19 as presented for the expenses of $26,500 for the repairs of McWashington Road. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires a majority vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the item as presented with a $26,500 expense.
Thank you.
Approving the expenses for repairs.
Ruby, I voted aye for that if you didn't catch it. My bad. I was looking over, not paying attention.
Item number 20 on your agenda. Consideration and possible action on an ordinance of the City of Montgomery, Texas, amending its municipal budget for the fiscal year 2023 to 2024. appropriating the various amounts herein as attached in Exhibit A, containing findings and a Texas Open Meetings Act clause, and providing an immediate effective date.
Mayor and council, what you have before you is the annual year-end audit adjustment for fiscal year '24. We are set to run into our final, begin our final audit in 2 weeks. And we have finally received all of the invoices from last fiscal year. So we are able to present this to you this evening and ask for you to approve this so that we are in compliance with the final budget adjustment that is needed. You'll notice that on your year-end surplus or deficit category, you will see that we have a surplus in all funds, with the exception of water and sewer. And that water and sewer deficit is 100% attributed to the debt issuance that occurred in January. And there was a payment, an interest payment that came due during the fiscal year, and that would be funded from water and sewer. So that's where we're at.
Very good.
I have to say, this is the first time since 2018 I've been on council that I've not heard audit every other word. So good job. I know you've been head down, but that was usually a 4-letter word from January or December, so good job.
Lasts until May.
Yes.
The only other thing I would like to point out is under your capital projects, you'll see that there is a surplus in there, but you need to keep in mind that that is because of that debt issuance. So that balance is carried in there. So that'll be reduced as we continue to spend more of those bond funds. But any other questions?
I make a motion that we approve the budget amendment for the year 2023 and 2024 as presented.
Motion by Stan.
I second.
Seconded by Casey to accept item number 20 as presented regarding the budget for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 20 as presented regarding the budget fiscal year 2023-2024, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept that budget for 2023-2024. Item 21 on your agenda. Consideration and possible action on a resolution of the City of Montgomery, Texas, approving an amendment to the City of Montgomery Policies and Procedures Manual, Section 3, Compensation, reference number 3.07, subject compensation as attached as Exhibit A, and further providing for effective date, severability, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this resolution is adopted was open to the public, that the public notice of time, place, and the subject matter of the public business to be considered was posted as required by law.
Is anybody going to speak to this?
Well,
Because I'm not going to vote on it unless somebody speaks.
well,
I can, if you can see it out here. Okay, so this is just a housekeeping resolution. The last time this policy was updated in the book was in 2009, and in 2021, former city administrator had made some revisions. And since I've come on board, I've been looking at cleaning up the books and the policies, and this is the first one that I'm cleaning up to clarify some confusion that staff had with payroll. And it's not adding any additional funds to anything. These are just forms that I'm putting all in one place, so that way we can keep track of all the changes that have occurred. And again, the list is currently in play that is being paid out to staff members, but we're just putting it all together for employees to be able to see it, and that way. The one change I am asking is that council be the one to approve our compensation for stipend certification pay, not stipend, but certification pay, instead of city administrators, so that way it's consistent and uniform across the board, and it's equal and transparent.
You rock, Ruby.
I think
You
it's the same.
appreciate
You rock. Thank you for cleaning the house.
And I have to say, I questioned the chief, I have questioned Ruby, I have questioned everybody about this, but thank you for making it totally clear.
That's her job. We appreciate it.
Yes, I do appreciate it.
Okay.
I make the motion that we accept item 21 as presented.
Second.
Motion by Cheryl, seconded by Stan, that we accept item number 21 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It is open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 21 as presented?
I just have one quick
Discussion.
question. Ruby, you said there's absolutely no change to pay from what it is today.
Not that I'm aware of. If you see a discrepancy, please let me know.
Okay, so what, all the red
There
is
was-
new?
So the red in regards to the scale for the education and certification pay, that's me bringing it all together into like a table. Now, I did make some, in the policy book, I'm outlining how that needs to be addressed. I did ask, as I said, the one change is to take away the city administrator being the one to set the policy for the rates and bring it and letting council do it.
And those funky rates that are in there, the $267 and
That's currently what is.
Right, but that was based on the 2021, a percentage of how they calculated it to be the pay. It was some kind of formula, and for the life of me, I can't remember it.
Right,
But
so these are degrees and certifications obtained after employment?
After in June, in while somebody's coming on.
Or if someone comes on,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So, maybe I'm gonna sound ignorant here. So if we hire someone at a specific rate or a pay scale and say, hey, this is what we're willing to pay, then you say, then this policy says they're gonna get all of this additional?
If you hire
Yeah, no,
somebody-
I'm not voting for that.
They already do. But
No,
the-
they don't.
Well, those that have, like, the chief does, Ruby does, yeah, they do, actually.
So
That
it
was
should
voted in
be-
2021, that she's just making it now for all entire.
Well, I was here in 21, and I don't remember voting on
I
anything.
do, yeah. Yeah, I remember it.
So I
Because
can
it was
understand
a new, it was a
after,
new idea.
if they get it after they've been employed and they've gone on and gotten these things on their, you know, but that's when you agree to a wage, that's your wage.
Sure. But when
It's
you,
not your
when you
wage
acquire
plus, plus, plus,
certifications,
plus.
when you acquire certifications, or if you come in with a
If you
myriad of,
acquire 'em,
then,
yes.
right, but then if you come in with certifications too, it is
If you come in
normal.
with a degree,
Yeah.
that means we paying you for that degree.
Sure,
We're not gonna
that's-
pay you extra after we hire you.
That's already in place. That part is already in place. It's already in
First
place.
I've heard of it, so.
No, in 2021.
See, Chief, I wasn't the only one that was confused.
Well, because when I look at the
See,
scales,
I'm
right, when
not
I see the pay scales that we've already went over several times,
And we
this
have-
isn't broken
we-
out.
Gary gave us, actually, when he gave us that big long one, there was certification pay on there.
Right,
Yeah.
for certain certifications, but
At-
for degrees, right? If I'm gonna hire somebody with a degree, I'm paying for that degree when I hire them.
But that degree was on there too.
Yeah, that degree's.
Yeah, it's been there, I'm telling
It's
you.
2021.
So we need to adjust all of our starting wages then.
Aren't we going to have a company tell us all about that next month?
I'm hoping. Because there's no point to even set out, oh, we're gonna pay this much, and then turn around and say, oh, by the way, since you have all these things, well, you had to have all those things to apply.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily,
Not
yeah.
necessarily.
No, if the job description required it, right? So the
Yeah.
job says, hey, we need these things,
But the job.
we're gonna pay you this much.
The job-
But now after you get here, since you have them, we're gonna pay you some more. Well, that's just silly, chief. As an employer, that's
The
ridiculous.
job description comes, and once you get that, the job description also says, if you have a bachelor's degree, we pay this much for a bachelor's degree. If you have a master's certification, we pay this much for a master's certification.
Okay. Let me ask Alan a question. Alan, when you hire a lawyer for your firm, do you give them more because they have a law degree, or did you hire them because they had a law degree?
I hire them because they have a lot of degree.
Thank you.
But at the same time.
Well, I think that's what the chief is saying y'all actually do. Yeah, when you, at the time you hire them, their pay is set.
Right.
Based on the degrees that they have or the certifications that they
So I can totally understand getting it after
The rate is
employment.
actually set on what the city says that we're paying. Once they come here, if they got a degree, then they get a certain amount for that degree. They get a certain amount for having an intermediate degree, an intermediate certificate, a master's certificate. It's been that way since 21.
It's supposed to incentivize as
It's that way
well.
all over the world.
It gives
Oh, it's not, Chief.
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh my God, Chief, I've worked in the private industry my entire life, and you don't get extra pay
It's
for
already
having
in
a
place,
degree.
When I
Casey.
say all over the world, I'm talking about all over the police world. Let's just go there.
If you will stop though, but this is housekeeping, it's already in place where she is just,
Oh, and I'm fine with it, but I'm looking at it going, maybe we should change it.
well, maybe we should. Just not today.
But we don't have to pass it.
Well, it's not a matter of you passing it. These are things that are already in place.
No money
That's just a
involved.
cleanup of the policy.
Right.
But we're changing the ordinance, that's what it says.
It says policy, right? We're changing
It's
the
a
policy.
resolution.
Reference number
Yeah,
3.07.
3.7 of the
Yeah,
policy.
we are changing it, right? So that's a change.
You're changing the format, you're lining everything up.
Yeah.
We haven't changed not one thing in there.
Not one,
The
Okay.
only thing was to ask that in the future, instead of city administrators setting the pay rate, we would let council
Yeah,
set.
that's the only,
request.
Yeah.
that's the only change.
I'm with you. Yeah, it just seems very strange. Like I said, if certifications acquired after employment, absolutely. But we hired them at a specific rate for a reason. If they get the cert after, then yes, they deserve for that effort.
And that may be the way it works in your world, sir, but when we, as a city, we set a rate of what we'll hire a police officer at, and if that police officer comes in, if he's got a little bit more experience, or he's got a bachelor's degree, then that money's set there, say, okay, you went out, you went to school, you've earned your bachelor's degree, so we'll pay you this much more for a bachelor's degree. We'll pay you this much more for a master's certificate.
Okay.
it's not atypical.
Oh, it's extremely
The
atypical.
motion on the floor.
In the private industry, it's atypical. You agree to a wage when you got hired.
Casey, there's places that pay for additional certifications and degrees. That's what I'm saying, and that's how the city was set up. And that's what's being presented here, is cleaning up our policy manual so it's better to understand and be more straightforward.
I gave you a handout.
No, not, oh, this one, yeah.
I gave
Yeah, I
you a
just paged
handout.
through that one quickly. But my question was just on the table, understanding when those were paid. But if that's the way it is, we'll have to look at it later.
All right. All those in favor of accepting item number 21 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 21 as presented. Item number 22 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action to select either AT&T, FirstNet, or Verizon Frontline as the city's cellular service provider for employee mobile devices.
Council, last council meeting, we came to you guys with the AT&T, because we're moving everyone's city cell phones, and we went with FirstNet. We went back and looked at Verizon. Verizon does the same thing, it's called a Frontline. It would serve us better for a couple reasons. Once they'll give us free phones. Not only that, it's a $100 credit on each phone, and it saves us. The PD, our MDTs run through Verizon, and right now we're set up with about 8 MDTs that are on the Verizon. If we had to make that change with the old MDTs, we'd have to go out and probably purchase another 2 or 3. That would cost us about $8,000. And the difference between the Verizon and the AT&T price for us is like $5. And it'll still save us $2,700. Still save the city $2,700.
how does this work with the mobile phone company we went with last meeting?
It was AT&T.
AT&T, it has a first responders.
Yeah.
And during the process of trying to do the transition, we discovered that Verizon also has that, what did you call it, Frontline?
It's called Frontline.
It's the same concept. It's an emergency line that allows, in case of emergencies, these cell phones would have precedence over your general public for emergency purposes.
Okay, so this is an amendment to our last meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to change from one to the other.
Gotcha.
Verizon, you gotta sign a contract though. It's a 2-year contract, so, but I'm fine with it.
And not for nothing, but this is a Verizon country. I mean, I used to have AT&T and it doesn't work here.
Yeah.
It's very hard, so
I have
this
been
makes sense to go.
AT&T
I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I
work
certainly feel better having Verizon
No
since.
problem. AT&T works wherever I need to go.
I just want to make sure, so we're just amending last,
Yeah.
what we
Changing carriers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. There's no other questions. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we accept agenda item 21 as presented.
22.
22, sorry.
I second.
Had a motion by Stan, seconded by Cheryl, that we accept item number 22 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. I believe we discussed. All those in favor of accepting item number 22, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 22 as presented. Council inquiry. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.042, the mayor and city council members may inquire about a subject not specifically listed on this agenda. Responses are limited to the recitation of existing policy or a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry. Any deliberation or decision shall be limited to a proposal to place on the agenda of a future meeting.
I don't have any inquiry.
I don't think anything.
I would say everything's going smoothly. I would like to commend all of City Hall for doing a fantastic job, and those that we contract out. Thank you for the transition. Thank you. My phone is no longer ringing every day, and y'all are took the bull by the horns. And I know you're short-staffed, so thank you for the extra additional sweat and tears and blood.
I want to thank everybody for participating in the Christmas program this year. I'm sorry to say I wasn't one of them. It wasn't intended that way, it just had a conflict. But I heard it was wonderful and we had much greater participation than we had last year, and I'm very happy to hear about that.
It was great except for Mary Ann. She stole my blanket.
Oh dear. Okay. Y'all have anything? Okay. Okay. All right. Moving right along then to executive session, item number 23, closed session. City Council will meet in closed session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Code, Government Code, in accordance with the authority contained in A, Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney pending and potential litigation. Number 24, open session.
You'll read that when you come back.
Okay, oh, that's where we are, talking about what we did. Okay, sorry. Okay, so, there we go. We will head into executive session. It is 7:12, or, yeah. Thank you. Gosh, Elizabeth, you're staying power, man. Heck yeah. Impressed.
Wasn't good, was it?
It is 8:22, and we are back into open session. City Council will reconvene in open session, which time action on the matters discussed in closed session may be considered. A, sections 551.071, consultation with attorney pending and potential litigation. Is there an action?
No action.
No.
No action.
Okay, closing agenda. Number 25, items to consider for placement on future agendas.
Do we need to talk about a workshop?
Yeah.
So Chief, I guess we'll give that to Chief to set up?
Yep.
To set up a workshop with the both parties, I guess the developer and the landowners for that, I'm not sure, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the property around Ransoms, just
Yeah.
to the east of,
With BCS,
yep, thank you, yes.
Okay.
Jack Berger.
Yeah, we would want both parties in the workshop.
Yep. Okay. Anything else y'all would like to see on the agenda? Okay. With that, we'll go to item number 26 on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. 8:24, we will adjourn. Thank you. Nay. Oh, goodness.